I feel like you should add to the scenery. It kind of reminds me of like, I get a little bit of Between Two Ferns vibe.
Oh my God, that's such a compliment.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I meant it.
That's such a compliment.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We need ferns.
You do. You need something.
We have Lori here.
Yeah.
We
Let's get
know.
some claps for Lori.
Yeah, we're going to get.
Nice.
Get some
See,
claps.
put your hands back on the steering wheel.
Yeah.
There's people listening that are like,
Yeah.
just driving off the road. It's like Mechanicsville Road or something.
Yeah.
right
Someone
now.
just dropped the kid.
You got to slow down.
Yeah.
We're going to clap for you.
Yeah.
But we have Lori here. Rambo's pretty much a fan.
Yeah.
You can tell
I'm a
you
fan.
can tell the energy of a guest based upon like Rambo's response to the situation.
Well, that makes me feel good because I feel like my energy level is that of a young golden retriever. So like we definitely hit it off.
Yeah.
That's a great place to be at in life or be in general. Like compare your energy to that of a
Yeah, you know,
youthful golden retriever. That's
excited, spirited,
there's
kind of dopey.
Yeah, Rambo is extremely smart and not smart all at the same time.
I'd like to think it's like ditzy but intelligent at the same time.
There's also a quality about Rambo. If somebody doesn't like Rambo, usually nobody likes them.
Yeah, and
If
you
you
can't
don't-
trust that kind of a person.
If somebody looks at
Look at him.
I mean, especially when he stands at the top of the stairs and looks down at you.
With the lips.
Yeah, like if you're at all like that isn't cute, there's no hope for you.
It's cute. He looks like a little general. It's cute.
Yeah,
It's like commanding.
serious wrinkle.
Yeah, but he
face.
wants to get pet.
Yeah. Being that we're talking about energy and Lori's here
Ooh.
and Rambo gave us a positive report, did you know that Lori is into energy?
I did not know that until maybe 30 minutes ago when you told me about that.
That is relatively the extent of what I know as a podcast host.
Mm-hmm.
So
I find that hard to believe.
it's true. No, it's not. So Ariel, who was on, my wife was on previous episode, met Lori through a
How did we meet?
connection of some kind.
Yeah,
The universe delivered.
Danielle Gannon.
Okay. Local spotlight with Danielle. Shout out.
Yeah,
Clap.
shout out
Shout out.
Danielle,
Yeah, there we go.
my girl. So she had put together a little something at LMA Float Spa. Also shout out.
Hey, shout out.
Thank you.
Shout out the spa.
Gilmar, your fingers okay over there?
Dude, there's so many buttons. I'm getting lost.
And yeah, it was supposed to actually be a bigger event. And long story short, a bunch of people couldn't make it last minute. And there was like 7 of us. One of them was me. One of them was Ariel. And I guess it was just kind of meant to be because we ended up connecting at some point after that. I think we kind of hit it off at first just because we're both very much into that holistic lifestyle. And, you know, her with her coaching that she does. And I very much follow a lot of those things in my personal life, but like my coaching, my sessions, the way that I guide people is again more of the energy. So I refer to myself as like an energy practitioner and embodiment guide. And basically my goal is to, it sounds silly, but like my goal is to help people like exist in their bodies, because so often, whether it's like the traumas we experience or just like life situations, we tend to be living life in fast forward, and you know, our minds are like past, future, whatever, but like it's never in the present. And a lot of that plays out with our nervous system. I'm a big nervous system nerd. Talk about as much as you want if you like. And yeah, and there's a level of dissociation with that. And so a lot of us aren't existing every day in our bodies, and that can play out in different ways, like anxiety, depression, brain fog. And yeah, so I help people kind of come back to center and realize that they're capable of all the things they desire, whether it's just personal peace or like really manifesting these like really big goals that they might have for themselves. It's different for each person.
So that's very interesting. So basically, do you start with kind of teaching people to slow down to when you mean like, I guess when you mean exist in your own body, are you talking about kind of slowing down enough to listen to like how you're feeling and things like that? Like what do you mean by that?
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely a huge part of it. Everybody obviously is in a different place when they first come. Like I get a lot of people who are kind of in the rock bottom, and then I get plenty of people who are in a really good place, and then maybe they just want to like elevate to a different level in their life. But wherever they are, we find some sort of a happy medium to help them come back to center and kind of like be more present with things. The way that I do that is I don't really start off teaching things. Usually I start off, most of my in-person work is with an energy session. So I practice a lot of things like if you've ever heard of Reiki or healing touch, integrated energy therapy. I practice all these and more, and they're under the category of like laying of the hands. So I'm an energetic channel for universal energy. I'm not using my energy to manipulate yours. I'm not forcing your energy systems to do anything they don't want to. I'm simply encouraging them to rebalance in a homeostatic environment, whatever that would be for you. It's kind of like, I feel like I get on like a roll about these things, and then I like watch people glaze over because they're just like, I don't understand. What
No, I
No.
feel very relaxed right now.
I'm about to ask some
Yeah.
quantum physics questions
Yeah,
after
let's do
you
it.
get done with what you're saying.
Ariel warned me about this.
What, that I keep a toe in a lot of different worlds. I don't like to think any one thing or belief or system or set of ideals is the right one.
Sure.
I think the principle of thinking that, like, applying a finite principle of like this is a definitive solution for all things is a weird notion to have when that concept does not exist anywhere else in our whatever, world we're living in, whatever dimension we're existing in. Like, there's multiple solutions for a lot of different things. Sometimes there's, finite conclusions, but like believing one thing. So the whole energy, like I don't really know a lot about like Reiki and things like that, to be truthful. But like the concept of like transference of energy and quantum physics, and then, like the law of attraction in terms of not necessarily attracting like what you want as goals or aspirations in your life or what you want your life to look like, but attracting, other people into your space. Like is
all relevant.
is all something that's like, there has been parts of these things that I've experienced for myself that I'm like, some of this I've experienced. So like to say that all of this isn't possible, that like, if I haven't experienced it, it's not possible, is like uncomfortably limiting to me.
No,
Like, it's
I'm
like a weird, it limits and just like it feels, okay. What is this? Reiki is a complementary health approach in which practitioners place their hands lightly or just above a person with the goal of directing energy to help facilitate the person's own healing response.
so like, not to oversimplify things, because I'm on the same page as you, by the way. Like
I just said a
don't-
bunch
I
of
don't-
things. I don't even know what
Well,
I said.
No, I'm also on the same boat as you.
I mean, I followed all of it, but just the whole that like, there's never one solution, one answer to everything. I even say that to clients when they come in. I'm like, listen, like this world will open up a bunch of different doors for you, but it also doesn't mean it's the room that you need to be in right now. So you might find that like this is helpful for you at this point or to get to a certain point. But it also might just be that I'm a bridge to someone else. I'm like the referral queen. I think it takes a village. I think that community is highly important. And so I'm never like, this is the answer to everything. I know everything. I know nothing, as we see today from my GPS and me trying to get here when I live 2 minutes away.
I guess before we get too much into some like mind-numbing science conversation and everybody bails on us.
I can simplify it.
No, weirdly enough, like people probably stick in for that, but we'll get into that. Like, how do you become, because I know a little bit about you in the sense that like you used to be a model.
I was.
Okay.
And then you used to,
biologist.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to get into. So like you do have like a diverse background. Yeah. And if you have a biology background, my experience with biology in terms of like what we did in school or college or biologists that I like, you know, have crossed paths with or learned from, their idea of the world is like very scientific and very like, this is how things are evolving.
Yeah.
Whereas like what you're doing now is there's a lot more trusting how things are rather than knowing how things are in what you're currently doing. So like I'd like to know how you go from being like in a biology setting to then going and like onto this journey.
So first off, I just like to say in that world, I didn't always have a lot of friends. They're like, this girl thinking that she, you know.
So I'm not wrong in saying that like the way they see things is very
100%.
Like on
100%.
Under a microscope.
So I guess honestly, a lot of it comes from my background of just like being raised. I was raised very holistic. My dad was a chiropractor and my mom was a practicing massage therapist. So I was raised on like homeopathic medicine and Chinese medicine. And I was always in nature, barefoot and probably naked and, you know, just kind of like doing my own thing. And so there was always a world of, these are the things that are going to be expected of you, but these are the things that you also can do. And also here's other versions of like the norm. And that would be things like healthcare, you know, that I would say that was like the biggest part of how that played out for me. And I actually learned how to channel energy when I was like 11 or 12 years old. It's funny because my mom doesn't even remember this, and I'm like, I didn't make this up. I could tell you, like I was in the back of the car, I could tell you what the house looked like when we pulled up to it, what the chair was like that I was sitting in. But long story short, I had it was shortly after my parents divorced, and I guess my mom went for an energy session, and I was with her. I don't know where my sister was. And I just remember it was like an older couple, and my mom was on like the massage table, and they were doing their thing, and I wasn't paying much attention, but the woman came over to me at the end, and she kind of crouched down to my size, and she said, she pointed to my left knee, and she goes, that hurts you, doesn't it? And I was like, yeah, because at that point I was growing very quickly, and like my left knee would always swell and fill with fluid, and it caused me a lot of pain. So she was like, you want me to show you how to help? And she taught me, hi Rambo. She taught me how to create an energy ball between my hands and put that on my knee until the pain started to subside. And then she taught me like an ending part that I'm not going to mention because I don't really know why she taught me that, but like with like proper energetic hygiene, I don't think that was really a good idea. But yeah, so as I got older, it was never like something I thought about, but like if I had an ache or pain or something, I would just like put my hands there or kind of like pull the heat out, because it felt like pain feels like heat to me, or energetic congestion feels like heat to me. And like that was it. And then, you know, you grow up, you have interests, and I went to college. I actually went to Del Val for my undergrad. Mm. And I was actually pre-vet equine science. And I went like 3.5 years. And I was like, sorry, Dad, I'm not going to vet school. Didn't go over well. So I had to pick a new major. And I literally just walked into admissions and I was like, I have no fucking idea what I'm going to pick. So I just like looked at this brochure display that they had. And I picked up wildlife conservation. I was like, I like to hike. And I picked up the psychology and I was like, I like people too. And so I did like wildlife conservation with a psych minor, and I finished out my schooling like that. And that's how I went into being a wildlife biologist. So I wasn't a people biologist. I have a lot of the like people background, being raised in a household where like that was like my parents' profession.
Yeah.
But it's all very much the same. You know, I was still dissecting things. I was still learning about epigenetics. I was still the microscope and all that good stuff. And I did that for a while in my 20s. And I really loved it. It really like spoke to me. I got into animal behavior, so I was usually hands-on, if not doing like surveys, which is like a lot of biologist type work in the field.
What kind of animals? Like, please say gorillas.
Oh my God. Okay. So I'm so glad you asked. So I actually ended up going down to Central America for a while for different projects, because the thing about wildlife conservation is, although it's extremely important for the environment and like those that live in it, nobody gives a fuck. And so nobody wants to pay you for it. So you just go for like 3 months at a time or however long a field season is, and you work. So I did New World monkeys in Panama, which ended up being mantled howlers and white-faced capuchins. Do you know what either of those are?
Well, the howler monkey is a dangerous monkey, isn't it?
I mean, they could rip your face off if that's what you're asking.
That's what I'm saying.
Are you going to pull up a picture? White-faced capuchin. Those are like the monkeys from movies.
Yeah. The capuchin monkey's not as bad, right?
I wish I had my phone near me. Well, it would probably take me a minute. I was going to say I could pull up my Instagram and like
which
show you.
monkey would you more successfully have in like Bucks County?
Oh.
Like if you wanted to have a friend.
Okay, so like not to be a boring scientist right now, but I really don't condone anybody owning monkeys. Like I know it's a thing. Actually, when I was a kid, my aunt had a spider monkey. His name was Jack, and he seemed to be pretty happy. I still don't think it's a good idea. I would say a white-faced capuchin though.
Okay.
They're so intelligent. So I used to do like little tricks with them. I would take like 3 solo cups and I'd put like a little piece of fruit underneath one, and then I'd move it around and I'd be like, pick which one's the fruit in. And like the capuchins always got it right every single time. It was hilarious about the howler monkeys is like with the babies, they'd like pick the wrong one and then you'd show them and they were like, like mind blown.
That's pretty. So what, like when you were studying them, like what was the purpose of like what you were studying?
So we were a rehabilitation center. So we would get various monkeys from the pet trade, whether they were like chained up outside a hostel for people to take, like tourists to take photos with, or maybe it was someone's pet and it got loose or whatever. And we would have to teach them how to be a monkey again, because you have to understand.
That sounds freaking. I tried to take it seriously. I couldn't. All I thought, and this is what I was thinking about. Like split second, Andrew thought in my mind. I thought like, how wild would it be if they had to rehabilitate like Pablo Escobar's like monkey that got like out. Like had to like teach like a drug cartel monkey how to be a monkey again. You know what I'm saying? He's just like always reaching for the gun, like sorry.
He's rolling cigars.
Yeah, he's just like he's tweezing. He's just like always grabbing money and like counting it. Like, they're like, no monkey, banana.
Always wears a chain.
Okay, so you had to teach them how to be monkeys again.
It's funny you said that though, because a white-faced capuchin we had named Cloud, he was 11 years old, and you would give him a banana and he'd like hold it and he would be like, what is this? And he would just like bite into it upside down and be like, because of the peel. And you were like, have you never seen a banana before?
Wow.
Come on, monkey.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it's funny, but it's not. Like, it was really sad, because a lot of times when people take monkeys from the wild, like they're babies, right?
Yeah.
So you don't realize how dependent they are on their parents for many years, for some species like over a decade before they're reaching puberty, which is really the time where like monkeys start to go out on their own. So everything from foraging to just knowing that it's not safe and they're not supposed to exist on the forest floor. So we literally would have to take them out, show them how to do all these different things. There was scheduled, my favorite, cuddle time.
Aw.
Because if not, they would die, because they need a certain amount of that like affection. we fed them. So like the real young ones, we would bottle feed, and all the others would like chop up their fruits and veggies. Not the howlers though; they had to only eat veggies. But it was funny. This one Coco, he was like an adolescent.
There's always a monkey named Coco.
always. Coco was great. He used to always break into our compost pile where we would have scraps of fruit, obviously from us or the other monkeys, and he wasn't supposed to have it because it's basically like giving a kid a bunch of Halloween candy. So you'd be like, oh, Coco's in the compost again. Like, someone go get him. And you get in there and you like grab his arm to pull him out, and he'd be like rabid, and there'd be like mush all over his face, and he's screaming, and it was terrible.
Wow.
Did you ever have like a close call with a monkey? Like a close, like, that monkey could have got me.
So I thankfully didn't. There were a couple biologists that did get injuries while we were there. Cloud, the one that didn't know what a banana was, he actually couldn't be out of a cage area much. And if he was, like, he pretty much had to be with just one of the males because he would put his teeth, like, this one woman from England, Abby, he put it all the way through her wrist here. Somebody else, he got back of the, what is that, like the Achilles or whatever. I had a wild monkey sit on my lap, and that was the closest call. He didn't do anything, but I was terrified.
Things.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've only had like one monkey encounter in the Colombia, of all places, and the people that were around that were like natives. They didn't stand for that shit. So the monkey was dealt with very quickly. But I like turned around and saw this fella. I was like, this is not good. And then somebody came out of nowhere and was just like, what's up?
Yeah.
Laid the beating. Because then like you have to deal with them that way. Like the wild monkeys, you just have to be like, no.
Yeah.
You get back over there.
Holy
Because
shit.
apparently they'll like rob you and stuff.
They will. I mean,
like-
they're ruthless.
Yeah, they'll just take whatever.
The wild monkey that sat on my lap, the only reason he was used to people is because his mother, Maisie, had been rehabilitated and successfully introduced and accepted into a wild troop. So when she had Jack, she used to like bring him down and like show him to the biologists and be like, look, this is my baby. So he was like wild, but he would come around you. And one day I was sitting there and another monkey was on my lap, we just, because we would chill like that. And he just hopped up and, he was like this big sitting on my lap. And I was like, I don't want to breathe.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
I probably put monkeys like right around birds for trust factor.
Yeah.
We've got problems with birds around these ways.
Yeah, they're gonna
Birds are
poop
like
you.
dinosaurs. Like
See?
little dinosaurs.
And now we have a biologist saying it.
Oh, yeah.
Like-
So it's obviously fact.
Yeah, it's fact.
We've had this conversation a few times about just like birds are just like, they're just dinosaurs. You can't trust them. They're always like,
Yeah, they're gonna poop on you, peck you. What are,
Yeah.
what are we doing?
it's not good.
Yeah.
Did you study like any other exotic animals or anything else?
I did camera
Thing.
trapping with jaguars and other large cats. And so the monkeys was Panama, the jaguars and cats was Belize. That was cool.
That's cool.
I
Yeah.
didn't touch them though, obviously.
I don't know.
Damn.
You didn't play like the cup game with the.
I didn't play the cup game with the jaguars. I
Come here,
wanted to.
Jaguar. I gotta show you something.
That was cool though.
Oh man, Jaguar
You
surprise.
just lift up the cup with the food and just kills you. It's like, I'll take you too. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So, what was the push? Did like the energy? Obviously, it started when you were very young, and then I mean, you have this calming way about you, similar to Ariel. Like you guys kind of have like this, and Julie too. Like there's something about like this just peaceful nature. So I could see you calming some monkeys in a jungle somewhere.
I mean,
Like just like
I'm
some
gonna
angry
say
monkeys.
I was
Like
a
you're
little
just
bit of a favorite.
the monkey whisperer. So when that was that chapter over, and then you just like definitively decided to go down the energy journey, or was the energy something you picked up when you were younger, and then it just kind of like was always in the background, and then like slowly became like what you're now currently doing is like your main focus?
So I live my life in like the gray area at all times. So nothing's really been a definitive break. The energy work was always just for me. Like I never intended to work on other people. So even when I started to get like trainings, it was actually just like, I can't afford to keep paying somebody every week. I was in my 20s. So I did it just for me, even though it certified me for other people. Like I just didn't want to. So the biology work started to kind of phase out because it was really beating my body up. When I moved back to the country, I was working for the USDA Wildlife Services, and I was at the military base, totally different end. I was more of not conservation, but management of things.
USDA, you worked for the USDA, but on a military base.
Wildlife Services, yeah, I shot shit for a living.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What kind of stuff?
Birds, deer, fox, coyote.
On like larger bases, so like
Groundhogs.
you kind of maintained population.
It was for the sake of human health and safety in the sense of keeping the airfield clear. So,
Okay.
because like, believe it or not, like I don't know if you know anything about like planes, but a giant
planes-
C-70.
Planes and birds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a cardinal could cause over $250,000 worth of damage
Damn.
minimum.
I don't like cardinals anyway. So
Overrated.
yeah, they're overrated. The red hair and
They're
stuff.
kind of cute.
Whatever. Nobody likes cardinals.
Yeah, Eagles only.
Eagles only.
All right.
We eat cardinals. I don't even care about football. But anyway, we go from the jungles kind of, and then you go and you get a job for the government, and you're maintaining just like the wildlife around an airfield so that, you know, obviously planes with people and equipment and things like that can, you know, do their jobs
Correct.
essentially.
Yeah.
Was it hard for you as like an energy type person, or because like I get hunting for conservation, but usually in those settings they're hunting like the tags they give out to hunters in like those big game settings, you're usually tasked with killing like the sick animals, like the sick elephant or the old elephant or the elephants that's killing other elephants. Like
Yeah.
your job is to, you know, you're unfortunately have to kill something, but you're doing it and it's benefiting the rest around. Like how was that for you to be like, all right, I got to keep these planes from crashing?
So I just want to like preface this by saying, and I said this when I had the job, it's an important job. Like somebody
sure.
has to do it.
Yeah.
It was never for me. I literally cried like every day.
Oh yeah, because like I'm like the reason I asked that question is because like
hated it.
you're sitting here in front of me giving off a much different vibe than like if somebody like, you know, if Justin, who's Justin Thomas, who's been on
out.
previous shout out,
Yeah, that's
if
okay.
he introduced himself and said, hey, you know, I'm a sniper and I maintain the wildlife around an airfield, I just like kill everything and keep the planes going smoothly, I'd be like, that makes complete sense.
Yeah.
But with you, that kind of that job doesn't make sense to me.
It didn't make sense to me either. And like
Okay.
it was like I was very good with a gun, believe it or not. I don't know.
Still good with a gun?
I mean,
You have Jersey plates though, so I don't know if I believe you. Nobody in New Jersey knows how to shoot.
Yeah, I don't know.
You guys are limited to like 5 bullets at a time.
that part is not a lie. Yeah, no, actually, I don't know. I haven't shot in a while, but I want to.
What
Just
kind-
for fun, though, like not at anything.
No, yeah,
living,
obviously, yeah.
breathing.
You should take aerial shooting.
That would be so much fun.
Yeah, definitely do
Would
that.
she find that fun?
Yeah, she would actually probably be more comfortable because every time she gets around firearms, like my brother, for his job is like very skilled with firearms, and he'll get it out, and he's just so comfortable with them that like he'll even make her nervous. And he's very safe, but he's just very like, yep. And this is how we take it apart. Like, dude, she's just like, no, John Wick, go away.
I respect that. I
so
don't
she-
like when people fling.
Yeah, she'd probably be like calmer with you. But what kind of gun do you use to like maintain the situation?
We had a whole safe. So like I was a 20 gauge shotgun kind of girl because a 12 gauge literally would bruise my shoulder every time I used it. We had some 270s, like for bigger game, like deer and whatnot. I tried to get my state director to allow me to have a handgun. My argument was when I have something like a raccoon or a groundhog in a like trap, I was like, it's just easier if I have something smaller and then I could, and I was explaining the bullets at the time. I don't remember that kind of stuff anymore. And he was just like, nice try, but absolutely not.
Yeah, she's like, I need a Desert Eagle. I got this one groundhog that's looking at me the wrong way. Just like, you see her on the phone in like the office, like already with the gun.
Yeah.
Like,
Nothing else will do, I promise.
return the gun. Be like, oh, I didn't buy it yet. That's pretty. That's an interesting job. It's a very important job, obviously. But definitely a weird job that I just wouldn't, if you had told me that, like if I had known you for a while and then found that out about you like years from now, I'd be like, not true.
Yeah.
Definitely not true.
No,
False.
I know. It was definitely interesting. And what goes along with that is that I was getting regular energy sessions at that point.
You were giving them or getting them?
Receiving them.
Okay, so you were going to someone like you are now?
Correct. Yeah, she was actually my psychologist, and she also did energy work. So
That's odd.
it was really cool.
Usually those types of folk, from my experience, don't support the energy world, because I saw like meditation specialists once, like a couple. I've never seen any like Reiki or energy like you do, but those folks that I've seen or interacted with were always very supportive of like general therapy, but therapists are not supportive of like the energy world.
So I've definitely like heard that throughout the years. And of course, like we experienced that in our own ways. But at this point, I've been getting referrals from some psychologists. And like this one recently, this woman called and she made an appointment. She was like, yeah, my therapist recommended you. I was like, oh, great. Who is it? And she says the name. And I'm like, I don't know that person. It took me a month to figure out. It turns out we share a client, and she saw the improvement that her client had since she started seeing me. And
So one of your other shared clients
Yeah.
was beneficial. I think that in that setting, when you're dealing with people that are trying to better themselves, limiting anyone to like saying that like, okay, meditation doesn't work. If someone's experiencing a positive benefit, why look into what is or what's not working there? If it's making there is that.
Mhm.
So like that's kind of how I approach that stuff sometimes. It's like
that's how I feel.
like you telling me, like I've never experienced an energy like what did you call it, an orb or a ball?
Like an energy ball, yeah.
The energy
I mean,
ball.
you can do it right now. You want to do it?
Are we doing this right now? Are you gonna do one?
Yeah, I'll do one.
All right, we're gonna create a little energy balls.
Okay, so since you're not used to it, you might want to kind of just like activate, we'll say, those chakras in the palm of your hand. So we all have like thousands of chakras in our bodies. You've
Okay.
probably heard of like the 7 major ones, like the crown, the root, that kind of stuff. So anyway, we have secondary chakras in the palm of our hand. So I'll kind of tell you the different ways, and you can go with what feels good. Some people like to rub their hands together to make friction. Other people kind of like to push in that center and like create that awareness of the space, kind of like that mind muscle connection thing. Other people like to do like a tapping of the fingertips. But all you're really doing is, I'd say if you don't have a preference, maybe try rubbing it. And
You're going with finger taps.
I like the way this
you're
feels.
going with the finger taps.
It's like tingly.
Follow your intuition. It's
Yeah.
exactly what I tell my students all the time. So whenever that feels good to you, I don't normally have to prep. I don't know why I'm doing this still. I just want you to very slowly begin to separate your hands. You might want to close your eyes so that you can tune in and see if you can feel anything. Don't go too far.
Yeah, I guess I feel like it's kind of like magnetized.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I feel like my hands are
Yes.
pulsing.
So if you wanted, you could kind of pull your hands like further away and closer together and like play with it. Like everyone's energy feels different and it's malleable. I'll sit here and I'll like, it's like I'm rolling Play-Doh in my hands, and I'll do it all the time.
So what, like, because say like I rub Rambo or like a balloon and we have static electricity and we can like experiment with that and experience it visually. Like what aspect of this is kind of like electricity or static electricity? Is that kind of a part of the energy, or?
I mean, I guess it could be. I don't do anything to my hands when I start channeling.
Okay.
Most of the time now, like especially with dogs and babies,
You
and
stay charged up.
I stay charged up. I am just
Was that funny? God damn it.
Was to me it was.
no, yeah, I don't have to think about it at this point. So I'll just kind of like, if you're like, oh, my elbow hurts, I would just be like, okay, you know, and I would start channeling to you. Or if you're petting a dog and something's going on with them and like their highest self, their spirit, their energy is asking for it, my hands will just turn on, and I'll be like, oh, my hands are hot. Like this dog needs energy right now. Okay. It's not really like a thought process for me. I could do it in my sleep.
Interesting. So what is it about what you're doing? Like, is there any like intuitive aspect of about what you're doing? Like,
100%. I mean, I have a lot of training, but I mean, all of it's intuitive because you're going to come in, you're going to tell me about, you know, what you're experiencing. Maybe we're like talking about traumas that you're trying to work through, or maybe it's a little bit more surface level and like you have like chronic pain or something. And I'm going to take all of that into account. But when you get on the table, I'm going to do a pre-assessment, and this is going to be like me looking at your chakras with my pendulum, me hand scanning you and feeling for congestion or anything that's void of energy, you know, imbalances in some way. I can feel sympathetic energy from like the nervous system feels like static to me. I can see it a little bit in extreme cases. And so I'm going to take all of that into consideration as to either what hand placement like protocol I go with. And a lot of times, like I don't practice anything in its purity. So I might kind of follow a treatment that's within the Healing Touch program, but then maybe say there's something going on around your solar plexus. Like I'll stop what I'm doing halfway through that protocol and like scoop it out or do this, or, you know what I mean? Like it's
interesting.
It's kind of like
So, so was someone like, I guess, are you like if you had someone in a motorcycle accident or a car accident and they had some sort of soft tissue damage, are you healing things on that level as well, or are we purely speaking on like a spiritual level?
So I just, and I'm not saying this is your insinuation, it's just something I like to specify when I'm talking about this with people. I don't heal anybody. I am a channel allowing you to, again, for your energy systems to heal themselves.
Okay.
But yes, we can do physical stuff. So I took care of my dad through his battle with cancer for like the past 4 years. And although he had anxiety and whatnot throughout it, a lot of the reasons why he was constantly asking me for energy work was physical based. So it would be pain or sickness from his treatments, like the immunotherapy. And, you know, also he had also set a lot of intention that he wanted it to help his COPD and his cancer. And so sometimes people will come in and they're like, you know, they have a lot of spiritual stuff they're working on and emotional stuff, but they'll also be like, oh, and my head hurts. Like I have this like pulsing pain right here. Like we can help clear the stagnation that's created around that. Like I don't really know what came first, the chicken or the egg, the stagnation or the headache, but the point is that they're both existing right now. So on an energetic level, I can help remedy that, at least lessen it and allow it to process and integrate itself. And in turn, you will find that the pain will be gone or at least significantly subsided. And it was the same thing with my dad. Like he had terrible neuropathy in his feet from the immunotherapy. I would just keep my feet on his, or my hands on his feet for hours, and you would watch. They would turn from purple to like skin colored again. He would be able to stand up and walk to the bathroom.
So, do you know anything about like cold shock proteins, or like heat shock, like cold plunge or sauna or anything like that?
I do cryotherapy and I like saunas.
Do you know like do you understand like the science behind cryotherapy?
Not so much. I understand like the benefits, but not really what's happening.
Okay, so like basically what cryotherapy is doing, it's like tricking your body. Cryotherapy is a little bit different than ice plunge. What's similar about them is that they're tricking your body, your central nervous system, to like trigger like cold shock or heat shock in the event of like sauna. These proteins emitted in your body, like similar to like if you have a fever, or if you have like you get hypothermic and your body has to like release all of these proteins to try and like rectify the situation, so they dump everything out. What you're doing sounds like that, in the sense that you're kind of like tricking the body, or maybe tricking's the wrong word. There's a better word, but you're kind of like instigating the body's natural response that it already has. But it's like not like my body's not going to just like send electricity to the knee to like get the blood flowing and the energy freed up. Like, perhaps I don't have the nerves or whatever going on in that area to like help that. So it kind of sounds like there's something going on where you're like, you're bringing whatever catalyst you need to a situation for the body to respond on its own. Is that kind of like what's going on here?
Kind of. Like I'm assisting it. So I'm assisting it by removing obstacles. I kind of look at it like, are you familiar with chiropractic?
Yes.
So it's kind of like getting a chiropractor adjustment, like for your energy bodies.
And like
You're
for
just
people
helping it get aligned with what it naturally should be.
what is it? Cryotherapy.
Yeah, just look up
This
cryotherapy.
treatment has been used for more than 100 years to treat skin disease, blah, 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 blah.
Great
Inflammation.
for inflammation. It helps my back so much.
So on like a quantum level, you're I guess like everybody is made up essentially from the same things. And we call that like the periodic table. And like we have all these elements like atoms and molecules, what have you, that
Stardust.
make it's all just stardust that became like combines infinitely to make anything, right? So what about like your schooling or your education, if at all, touches on like, we'll say stardust? Like what are we going to that level, like that molecular level, when we're like learning about manipulating the energy and stuff like that?
I'd say that I actually have more from my traditional, like bachelor's and master's as a scientist. As far as the training for the energy work, there's different levels of types of programs, and like some of it is like I've had like a mentor that like taught me everything she knew. Others were like weekend courses that you can learn stuff. And then I went through things like the Healing Touch program, which emulates the nursing program. And it's like a minimum 2-year program. And they definitely like, I had to write case studies and all that kind of stuff, but they still, I don't feel like they talk about the body and the anatomy and whatnot, but they don't really get down to like the molecular, the cellular level, which I honestly would have loved. But
because they're not open to it, or they just don't get around to it?
I think honestly, because it's not necessary to be effective.
So it's like the race car driver not knowing how the motor works.
Exactly.
As long as he can get the car around the track fast and safely, it doesn't matter he doesn't need to put tires on.
Yeah, I mean, he has faith that that car is put together in a way that it will hold up for the race. Like we have faith that the divine and the human body are going to always do what it is that they need to do, what's meant best, what's, for its highest good. And so it's just more about helping people on their path. Like I've read more like myself, not really having to do with my actual schooling for it, about what happens to the cells when the electromagnetic field is manipulated and all that kind of stuff. I'm not very good at repeating it. But I don't think it's necessary for all energy practitioners to know it.
Interesting. Is there any energy like practitioners or styles that you have like learned about or you can see from afar that you're like, that is completely a scam? Or I was gonna say something else, but I wasn't really sure. But like I went with scam.
Say it.
I think I was going with like horse shit. But it was just like, oh, we'll go with refined and just hit him with a scam.
Yeah. Scam.
Like, is there anybody that you're like, no?
So there's different types of modalities that I don't agree with. Like, for example, there are types of energy therapies where the person is not a channel and they're taking their physical energy and manipulating yours in a forceful way. I'm not saying those are bad. I just don't agree with them because I just don't think that's my place. When it comes to a scam, I think it's less about the technique or modality and more about the individual.
So the energy, when someone's using their own energy to like manipulate the
Energy in someone else.
Yeah, we'll call them the victim. Like, are you relying that like that person's energy is in a space that can positively affect you? Like, is there? I guess what I'm getting at is like, is there someone out there that can like manipulate this energy in a harmful way?
100%.
Interesting.
I mean, it's all about intention. So energy flows where intention goes.
Energy flows where intention goes.
Yeah, man.
Phew, bringing it back from the biology days on the airfield, dude. She like triggers her PTSD.
Oh,
She
shit.
just reaches in her purse, just
Nah, she got her energy worked out.
sees a bird, just shoots it through the window.
What's so funny about that is, side note, my modeling transitioned from the government work, and like, you know, that's not always a world
Wait,
where
that's an interesting statement. I started becoming a model because of the government work.
Yeah.
it drove me to it. No, I hated my job so much that I asked the universe every single day. We're jumping around. I'll go back to your question.
Hit it. It's your show.
But I used to, like, I was in this job. It was a really great position, again, an important job. I felt like I couldn't quit because, like, that would make me a quitter. And obviously that's not going to fly. So every day my mantra was, during my whole hour to work, I'm looking for the easiest, fastest way out of this job. Please give me the easiest, fastest way out of this job. And I ended up herniating a disc in my back and breaking my foot all within a week.
Damn.
I got put on medical leave. It was the easiest, fastest way out of that job.
Damn.
Yeah.
Careful what you ask for.
Brutal. You really need to be intentional with your words.
Yeah.
Again, energy goes.
Yeah.
And so, but anyway, like, so I started to do the modeling full time, which was something that was always kind of like part time for me.
But obviously not a foot model.
Obviously not a foot
You
model.
had like a broken ass foot.
There was a gap. I was on medical leave and I was doing
Oh,
like rehab and all
right.
that.
She was healed up.
I just pictured you like being like
Hobbling
in
on
bed,
crutches.
hobbling to the modeling gig and just like pushing your crutch over and be like, take the picture and then picking the crutch back up. Anyway.
No, but like, obviously you don't always have like the kindest or the most trustworthy people. It's definitely an industry where people looking to take advantage of others, like, will come to the surface, I think, more than another realm of work. And I used to kind of just like slip in there. I was like, go ahead, fuck with me a little more. Do you know what I used to do?
I'll manipulate some energy up in here.
I broke a disc in my back.
I used to hunt birds.
I'm built
good
for
with a
this.
gun.
Yeah.
Silence them.
Yeah, but anyway, getting back to, what was your question again?
I don't know.
I don't either.
Horseshit.
No, we were talking
scammers.
about the people with the negative energy, the sorcerers.
Yeah, the sorcerers. Honestly, I think like my idea of a scam, it really comes down more to the person. You could be practicing the same exact things that I practice, but if you're going around telling people like, I can heal all your problems, your cancer gone, your depression gone, and it's just like, you don't have, that's not,
Interesting. I'm going to
Yeah.
try those things.
What?
I'm going to cure cancer.
Yeah. You can
You're
sell
cured.
Oh shit! You're right. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
cured.
That's what
I
it
don't
is.
feel bad anymore. That's crazy. That was fast.
It's true.
You're good, man.
Yeah.
see?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I'm proved wrong.
You got to be
Snake wood.
intentional with it. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah. You were
Exactly.
intentional with that. Yeah, you wanted to cure my cancer. You did
It's-
it.
It's I intuitive intuition.
There you
Or
go.
intentional intuition.
There you go.
I'm gonna start like a whole new cult.
No way.
Yeah, dude.
Can I be in it?
See, that's how good of a cult leader I am, dude. I'm just signing up.
Yeah, we're a join or die.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
Joiners.
You better join. pussy.
You know what? That's a slogan that's like doesn't get enough love,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
When were you? When was the last time you were like a part of something that like that was on the table?
Dying?
I could argue that
Can't.
like join or die, like that's living.
That is living.
Like if you're in a situation where you got to join or die, like you've gone too far down like the fork in the road.
yeah.
Like you should have gone the other way.
Fucking join.
We've
Like
met,
using
I think
that
I
in
feel like
marketing.
there's a few people that I've met that have potential to join or die.
Mm.
Like be join or die leaders.
Yeah.
Like if the world kind of started to deteriorate, they would definitely pop up as the ones.
Yeah, join or die leaders.
Join or die. And I'd be like, I know this sniper.
Mm.
She's very unassuming.
Great energy.
Yeah.
Great energy.
What if you started like a YouTube channel just called like the Energy Sniper, and you just like you did part of the show was shooting, and then the other part was like teaching all the degenerates that watch your show how to be better people.
Honestly, I've been in the middle of kind of like an up level and a rebrand. I mean, you're giving me great ideas. Let's
That's what we do
continue
here.
This.
That's what
Yeah.
we
Or
do.
she goes around just energying from afar. The
Like
sniper, you know?
Spider-Man, but
Yeah.
with energy.
Yeah,
Snipe
like she's
your energy.
constantly calling us to edit all of her videos to throw the energy into the video. I need some energy, boys.
Some
Be like,
stardust. I need some stardust.
We're just taking the effects from Iron Man.
Copy and paste. Just
She's like comments, too much power.
how come Iron Man's in this one?
Dial it back.
Dial it
Yeah,
back.
like the screen glitches and it's just like Robert Downey Jr.
The scene out of Iron
A
Man
really
3.
beautiful woman.
Yeah, that was one question I did have though. Can you see energy?
Funny you should ask.
Mm.
I didn't used to be able to, but then about a year or two ago, my best friend is an astrologer and yoga teacher.
Astrologer. Can we just be clear on what an astrologer is?
Not an astronomer.
Or an astrologist? Like
Was there ever any confusion here?
Some people get confused.
Yeah,
Oh.
there's confusion here.
Okay.
Astrologer,
So she works with like reading your birth chart, like the zodiacs.
like Capricorn.
Exactly. Isn't Ariel
Capricorns.
Capricorn? You're a Capricorn?
Capricorns.
I have
Yeah.
a lot of Capricorn placements, but I'm a Aquarius, Sun, Virgo, Moon, Libra rising for anybody out there that's curious.
Wow.
Holy shit.
I think I'm a Capricorn, Scorpio.
Oh, shit.
I think that's what I am. Yeah.
Whoa.
That's
I
awesome.
only know this is my girlfriend. She was big on it for a while, so
Yeah.
she told me this.
I don't know what I am because I spent like most of my life thinking I was like a Chinese dragon.
You're fucking a rabbit.
And I'm a
I'll
rabbit.
never forget it.
Not for nothing. If you know your birth time, we can run your chart right now. I'm just saying.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude. I don't know. Actually, after you answer this, I that just triggered another question. Go.
There you go.
Yeah. So you had a friend. And
Oh, yeah. And so, anyway, one of the types of yoga she teaches is Kundalini. And I did a 40-day Kundalini Kriya that she was teaching, where it's exactly what it sounds like. You do the same, their Kriya, it's just like the flow or like recipe for a certain, so it was a heart opener. And you do that every day for 40 days. Like the hardcores, try to like do it like at the same time every day. I'm not going to say I was that intense, but I did do it every day. Anyway, long story short, about 3/4 of the way through, I was at work one day and I had one of my really sensitive clients on the table, and I opened my eyes because a lot of the time, like I'll have my eyes closed because I'm just kind of like tuning into what's going on. And I opened my eyes and it looked like a mixture of like the old school TV static and like when it rains on a hot pavement in the middle of summer, you know how like you look through it and it's like wavy and
yeah, like the thermal dissipation.
yeah, Good word. So
Could
it
have
was
been
like
completely wrong word.
if those two had a baby, that's what it looked like to me.
Whoa.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's sick.
See,
And
like,
now I see it a lot.
Wow.
that makes sense to me. Why wouldn't you be able to see that
Yeah.
emanating off?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, especially when it's like localized and we're kind of like supercharging it, for lack of better words.
Do you know what percentage of light the human eye picks up and communicates to the brain?
Oh, I used to.
Is
Yeah.
it super low?
Do you know?
I know it's low.
I think it's like 6 or 7%.
Yeah.
Sounds
So
about
there's
right.
we're only seeing, like, if light is reflecting off everything, we're only seeing 6 or 7% of what is in front of us.
Wait,
That's
That's pretty low.
I'm saying there could be like a whole nother level of beings in front of you just moving around.
you mean like
And then-
other dimension or
and
like
then-
spirit?
94%.
Could be.
No, like, I mean, but that literally, the dimensions and light spectrum are like completely related, because
Damn.
how light how like light transfers time is technically what a dimension is, isn't
We're
it?
getting into the science part, aren't
We'll
we?
melt brains right now. I
This is where
read
we're
books.
going.
Can't shrimps see?
I read books.
Isn't shrimps the ones that can see a higher percentage of?
Ye-
I think it's shrimp.
shrimp. Yeah, well, I mean, if it's a group of
Yeah.
shrimps,
Can
But
you
if
look
it's
that up?
multiple shrimps.
Shrimpies.
Are sea monkeys shrimps?
Sea monkeys are in the same like familia,
Okay. All right. You using my language.
La Familia.
Sea monkeys is a marketing term for brine shrimp.
Yeah.
Yeah. Artemia.
Have you ever raised sea monkeys?
No, I always wanted one though.
How about a seahorse? Did you ever do like the seahorses as kids?
Wait, what do you mean do the sea? People had seahorses as
Yeah,
kids?
you get a seahorse.
No.
Yeah, you could probably go online right now and buy like the seahorse
I'm
kit.
calling my mom as soon as I leave here.
How about an ant farm?
Nah.
No, we had an
Not an
ant farm, and then
insect
my brother found out they were like fire ants, and then like we had to keep an eye on the situation because we put this idea in our heads that we should let them out. My dad was pissed, dude.
Okay.
He's like, we're gonna keep these up here on the shelf.
We have a worm farm right now on my wildflower bed.
Ooh,
A worm farm?
those are good.
Yeah, my
Are you-
boyfriend Charlie loves nerding out with that.
Boyfriend Charlie.
Boyfriend
See, like the
Charlie.
way you said that, like my boyfriend Charlie, it sounded like you made him up.
Well, so because I was just gonna say Charlie, but like you don't know who Charlie is.
I have a
you know?
boyfriend. He goes to the other school.
Yeah, right.
It's like, yeah. What other school?
Okay, fair.
Somebody did that. Somebody did that to last time. Somebody did that to me. They were like, "Yeah, I have a girlfriend." I'm like, "Yeah." Where'd she go to school? And she's like, "The other school." I'm like, "What? Like the elementary school?" You creep.
Creep.
And it
Weirdo.
totally blew back, and we were like, "Oh." And then I graduated to 9th grade.
Nice. Happens quick. No, so it's mantis shrimp. They see up to 12 channels of color. And we only see up to 3.
That's pretty awesome.
But
That's-
do we know if a group of shrimp are called shrimps?
Well, it says mantis shrimps.
It does say shrimps.
So I'm going to go with shrimps.
God, such a good word.
Shrimps.
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 That's the difference, like octopi and octopuses. Same thing.
True.
Cactus and cacti.
True.
Camel and camels.
And cactuses.
Cactuses. I thought it was cacti.
It is
Yeah.
cacti.
It's cacti. Like this is why the English language is so terrible to people.
Yeah.
It's
I
cacti when you're referring to the same species of cactuses.
I didn't screw
Oh.
this up. Did I screw this up? I
No.
felt
No, I
like I
think
was
you're
like
fine.
sitting
Good.
all weird. I was like,
These chairs suck. Just say it.
these chairs suck a little bit.
They do.
Just
They
say
suck.
it. Just
It's
say
in the 2023
Now I'm like,
plan.
can you hear me?
it. It's
Speak into the mic.
I'm gonna heal you.
I'm gonna heal you.
Oh, so that's cool. So yeah.
I could totally. Like, that's like one of those go to sleep YouTube videos. Be like, go to sleep.
Damn, that almost put me to sleep just now.
Heal you.
That's crazy. I'm about to fall asleep.
Flip your
I'd be
pillow
afraid to
over
close my
the
eyes.
cold side.
The close eye of the pillow. Hell yeah. The best part.
Turn the fan on. It's hot in here. Just say like, dude, watch me make a video doing that and have it go millions of people going to sleep on it.
Do it, bro.
Yeah, you'd be rich.
You'd be rich.
Yo,
You'd be rich.
I don't think so. I think if 1 million people watch a YouTube video, that's like 60 grand.
Yeah, 60 grand. Jesus, that's a lot of money.
Because there's
I know.
all those guys like Mr. Beast and everything like that. When they get like 1 million views on a video in like a day, it's like 120 grand, I think.
That's insane.
Where they make their money is on their like endorsements. Like,
yeah.
This is for Simply Safe.
Yeah, it's Geek
Squad.
Sometimes I like to think about those memes where they're like, if you're feeling bad about yourself, just remember there's a 6-year-old out there making more than what you make like in a week, like playing with his toys or unboxing toys or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, his
Damn,
that was a genius idea.
Yeah, genius idea. Should have done that when I was a kid.
Yeah, we would have had to have like toys to unbox, like a lot of them.
Yeah, we should just unbox toys as adults.
We would just like. Could you imagine if you started
Is that
like
weird?
No, I don't think so.
start a channel just unboxing toys and giving like what we would have thought about it?
Yeah.
Be like, Adult Me says this thing's a piece of shit, built poorly. It's not gonna stand up. It's
fucking-
probably gonna rust when it rains. But Kid Me would have been stoked.
Yeah.
Don't get this for someone older than 8.
5 out of 10.
Just like throw it.
Yeah, shit's plastic. Fuck this Nerf gun.
Do you
Those are dope.
do you ever like do you have animals like ever come to you like if you walk through the woods like do you all of a sudden have like just like animals following you?
She's fucking Snow White.
So
Or,
in my dreams, yes. No.
Maybe before your airfield days.
So I can't
Yeah.
say that I have like Snow White moments, although I'm like, that's like my dream.
Yeah,
So
you do give off the Snow White vibe, except for like your nicknames, like the Punisher.
Snow Black. No, I don't know why that was.
Snow Black.
It-
Whoa.
What the fuck?
Whoa, dark energy.
No, wait, what the fuck?
Yo,
Anyway, the whole bird thing. What were you saying?
you're gonna get us canceled again. Bro. You're gonna make up a new show name.
What the fuck?
All
it's
right.
canceled again. I know, like people's animals will come to me a lot, and even like those pets where they're like, you know, maybe it's a cat or something. They're like, oh, don't bother with him. He doesn't like anyone. And then they turn around, they're like, what the fuck? And it's like sitting in my lap, and I'm like
Nice.
cuddling
snap.
it. So in that way, yeah. I mean, wild animals. Sometimes I guess I get kind of close. I can't say if it's more than the average. But yeah, I mean, like animals, they don't have like the ego that looks past things like the energy of a person.
What do you mean?
So like people, you know, like someone walks in the room and you might think to yourself like, something about them, like they're good, like they feel good, but then they say something or they do something, or maybe they're wearing something that reminds you of someone else. And all of a sudden you can start to create this story in your head. And it's just like you're creating this version of them that may or may not exist based on
It's fun to do that though.
your experiences. I mean, like it's a blast.
If you go wild with it,
Yeah.
you got to go to the moon. If you're gonna make up a story about someone else in your head, you got to go to the moon with it.
Are you one of those people that like in a restaurant, you're like, okay, this couple right now, and you like tell their whole life story?
I'm pretty good at that. Yeah,
Oh, I love people watching. I
Yeah.
do it with my girlfriend all the time.
yeah.
Yeah. It's just
We
for
live in a
fun.
good area for it. Go down Brother
And he does it
River.
with me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you
Yeah,
know
we-
him.
Yeah, we people watch.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Look at
I
this
thought you
fucking
meant
guy.
he made up stories about you. I was like, that's not very nice.
No.
Yeah, this guy Gilmore, what's he doing?
What's he doing?
Yeah.
Look at him just sitting there.
King of tying knots.
I can't. The fuck? Tying knots?
Stop laughing, dude. I'm trying to have a serious
Okay,
podcast.
all right.
We're investigative journalists.
We are, dude. This is investigative journalism.
She believed it, dude. That's how, dude. We're good and good.
Yeah, we're getting good at it.
Convincing everyone and ourselves.
I have no reason not to believe you at this point.
Yeah, that's true. Just an hour of evidence.
Oh shit, I feel bad. You were in the
Has it
middle of
been
a story.
an hour?
You were saying,
Oh, I don't
The
remember.
energy. You're the one that brings the cats.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh, no,
yeah.
you can. Animals can't look past.
The ego.
Yeah, they
create
don't
story.
look past it so much. So it's just like, you know, they're just kind of like the pure version, like babies. So yeah, I definitely would
That's
say that
interesting.
like, even just people though, like, you know, a regular adult, I'm one of those people that they like just come up to you and saying hi or smiling or like paying attention in a sea of people, and then like God forbid you say something back like hey, and they're just like, this one time when I was 6 and my grandmother was sick, and you're just like, okay, we're going there. I just tend to like bring that sort of thing out of people, which I don't really mind, because again, that's a big part of my job, but it can be distracting when you're just like out having a drink.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're kind of, you have a superpower that you obviously like, hey, look, like 9 to 5, you can use me, but when we're out to get drinks right now, it's like, hey, some personal space would be nice.
It's funny because, I mean, I can't tell you the last time I went out, but yeah, like you'll be out, you'll be with friends or at a party or whatever, and
What, Charlie's not taking you out on dates?
Charlie takes me out on dates, but I'm like a take me for tea, let's go hiking kind of girl, rather than like a cocktail, out on the town. I mean, I'll do that too, I guess, but so I don't even remember what I was saying now.
The ego with the animals.
Yeah. I'm a nature person. I really like, that's actually a big part of my work too, is like when I'm helping people like regulate their nervous systems or create habits to support the energy expansion that we might be doing together in a session. A lot of my recommendations have to do with going outside, taking a walk, that sort of a thing. I feel like in the middle of winter, people hate me for it because I'm just like, when's the last time you got some fresh air? Don't.
How important is it for like what you do for people to like have unplugged time, like away from their cell phone, off of the computer? Like if somebody spends all of their time working on the computer and you're trying to do like these energy upgrades or help them, improve, like do you get interference from computers and things like that?
You mean like if they're actively on a computer when I'm trying to work with them? Or
no,
you just
I'm saying
mean,
like if somebody's like, because I think part of what I've experienced from like just like living a better life was spending more time outside, not, no Instagram, no phone, like stuff like that, which used to just be normal everyday life. We've kind of tainted with this, very powerful electronic device. And I mean that in terms of like powerful in the sense of like what it can do, but also like the electromagnetic energy that's coming off of your phone. Like Jesus Christ, like dude, there's gonna be like I swear to God, like my dad had cancer in his neck, and like my dad spent all of our childhood on his phone, on a cell phone, like or with a computer, and like sometimes I think that like this stuff hasn't really been around it's been around, computers have been around, but not like the way we've had it. Like nobody had an iPhone when we were kids. iPhones came out in 2007. So we didn't have iPhones probably in 2012. So since 2012, for 10 plus years, 13 years now, going into the 14, 15, 16 years of a phone in my hand nonstop every day that's giving off that like electromagnetic energy, like what's the consequence of that?
I mean, I think for people to say that like they don't think any kind of consequence can come from it is the same kind of people that say there's one way to do something. We know that there's effects to it. We know that can lead to things like cancers and whatnot. I mean, it's not saying that it's like the whole reason for something like a cancer, but obviously it plays a big role into it.
It's got to be like that interference though, because I mean, I don't think my phone's on
I
me.
don't allow, so like you come in, you're going to lay on the table, like your phone, you're leaving it on the chair. Cause like we'll sit and chat first. You'll leave it on the chair. If you're wearing an Apple Watch, that comes off because that will interfere and it throws me off terribly. And it doesn't feel good. I mean, when you're tapping into the electromagnetics, I'm tapping into your biofield. You have a magnetic field just as the earth does.
But that's like if people listen to this or listen to you or ever interact with you and say, no, that's woo-woo. That can't.
No, that's science.
That can't be a possibility. And then they go and pick up their fucking cell phone and communicate to their like sister who lives in California. Like, so the cell phone can work, and that can communicate through the air in your video screening with somebody, like Snapchat, all this dumb stuff that like these kids are just like snapping off nowadays. But energy transference from like human to human, or energy, or people being able to like read energy fields or things like that. When I hear people being completely, like, you can be skeptical, but being completely closed off, like, I'm skeptical of cell phones, but they work. So like that's kind of like what I was getting at, like when we brought up the cell phone thing, was like that's energy transference, like that's energy transferring, like that wavelength, like that's all measurable. So
I mean, this is measurable too. They've done studies with it.
That was my question, like how do we measure this?
I don't know like the type of test that it's called, or like the exact like frequency that they might be looking at, but I know that I've seen graphs and stuff from it before. And I understand when people, like, if you've not been exposed to something, it's okay for you to say like, yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, I get it. That's new information for you. I'm just
definitely. I had an experience with Julie Krause, like after we met her on the podcast. I did I don't know what she calls it. I guess an
energetic upgrade, her readings.
Yeah, I did a reading with her, and like there were things that like we discussed in that there was no way like she could have intuitively picked up on that. Like it wasn't a card trick where like they just knew how to like, okay, Andrew every hour on the 12th minute he looks at the right, so therefore his grandfather is gonna like there's no way to like scam that. I'm sure there are ways to scam that, like if people research things, like there's hours of me talking on a podcast, there's content out there, but I thought about all that. Like there's never been like that context for her, and like she didn't have enough time to watch all of that content to absorb that one thing that popped up that like made an improvement in my life. So after having that experience, before that, the meditation, everything I was very open to. But then once I had that experience, I was kind of like, I really need to rethink the science and like all of this behind this and how we look at it. And you know what I actually ended up doing was like, I found like a version, not of the Bible, it was like the standard Bible, but it was like explaining the Bible and like different situations of like energy and things that is like communicated or explained in there. And I'm like, holy shit, we've already been taught a lot of this stuff. But somewhere along the lines, it's like, I don't know what happens. Like, I guess you just like lose touch, or maybe you're just like, that's not cool, or I don't know.
I think it's just, I mean, I think a lot of things. I think all of that plays into it, kind of like that whole amnesia thing that civilizations have and whatnot. I think a big part of it is censorship to a degree, because like we're taught things that like the masses want us to be taught too. I don't know how much we get into that kind of stuff.
We'll go get tinfoil hats right now.
Okay, cool.
We got them.
Mine's
in the
car.
Yeah. I stay.
But yeah, and you know, I'm not big when it comes to the naysayers. Like, there are plenty of people in this world who are willing to learn and grow. So like for those that come up to me and they're like, convince me, I'm like, nah, you know, you can go find someone else for that. But the thing is like, why is that such a wild concept for you, that there's energy transference every second of every day? You know, when you're interacting with the food that you eat, when you're interacting with your dog, when you're interacting with your spouse, with the other drivers on the road, the only difference about my job in those situations is that I'm doing it on purpose.
And getting paid. Suckers.
Yeah, but it's also for them. It's not like I'm.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. I think it's a huge responsibility for someone like you or anybody that's practicing whatever healing practice they do, like with Ariel and fitness and listening to, you know, some of the background information, like the struggles of her clients. I'm like, this is a crazy responsibility to kind of, you know, guide someone to improve their lives.
We're space holders. And honestly, I think it's one of the most sacred things that we can do, for another human being paid or not.
Do you think that people are like out of touch with like how they can impact people like in their, you know, their sphere? Because like you're doing what you can do to help, but that doesn't say that, you know, like there's a lot of people that are like, well, I can't really make a difference, or my life's already stagnant, I can't get anywhere from this. Like, do you think that people, you know, lose touch from maybe like what you do or like that side of life because they're just kind of on autopilot in their own routine, not really focusing on helping themselves or others?
Yeah, for sure. And it's not really to fault them for it. I think that when we go through so many different experiences in life, it kind of beats us down. You know, like people hear that I specialize in trauma and they're like, oh, well, that's not what I'm here for. And I'm like, that's fine, but nobody gets out alive. You know, like we all have our own situations that's stored in our cellular DNA, whether we want to kind of accept that at this place or not. And I meet people where they are, so it's totally cool if that's not where you are yet. But I think we kind of get beaten down, and that's why people think like, oh, one person doesn't make a difference. But I sat in a room full of people in Brooklyn, New York, while Jane Goodall stood on stage and explained to us all the reasons why one person matters. And I don't know, I guess I'm kind of cheesy in that way, but like when you take those types of words to heart and then you hone back into your life and you think of all the times where you positively impacted somebody, even if it was just one person, even if it didn't change their whole life, but maybe their day or that minute, and you start to think about it and you're just like, I am capable of doing so much. Like I am capable of shifting so much. And not only am I impacting that person in a positive way and helping them at that point in their life, but it is reciprocating and it's fulfilling me. And that just radiates. So even if I'm not seeing what comes from that, that person now feels better about whatever it is. And they're going out into the world and they're interacting with other people. And those people are making decisions on how they want to show up. And it makes a difference. I mean, will my dreams of becoming well known and really being a staple in the community and like making an impact on a larger level, like will that come true? I don't know. I hope so.
Are your dreams to become a well-known healer?
Kinda, yeah.
Because like being well-known means you'll be able to help more people?
Yeah, because I feel like having that, when people have an awareness that you exist, basically, that just increases your ability to impact. So like, I don't want to be like famous or anything like that, because I also know what comes with that sort of thing. And I'm way too sensitive for people to be, you know, ripping me apart on social media.
So you
and
want
whatnot,
want to be like reachable in the right avenues. Like you want people that need help to be able to like know you exist.
Exactly. And if I'm not the right person for them, maybe by knowing that I exist and doing that research, I can connect them, or like my existence can connect them to something that works for them, something that, whatever it is that they need.
Well, I mean, you're lucky that nobody listens to this podcast.
I think
and nobody will listen to this because nobody will get helped.
They didn't make it past me shooting geese for a living.
Honestly, I think that kept probably people more into it. They're like, oh,
right.
this lady's the real deal.
She's done it all.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to like...
Monobiologist turned energy healer.
Yeah. I think that there's two things in there that are kind of like have these connotations on them that are negative or perhaps like incorrect or not like fully under scope. Like when people talk about trauma, like they think of, you know, the one person who witnessed that one thing that was traumatic, or somebody went through the trauma of going to war. What I've come to learn, like what trauma actually is, and the same thing with like the word disease. Like all disease is ease means your body's like no longer under ease or like working efficiently and optimally.
Exactly.
So like everybody looks at the word disease as a singular word, but they don't really unpack that. And I think that happens with trauma a lot because like I've been through a lot in my life, but I never looked at it, any of it as traumatic.
Because you compare it to other people's traumas.
Because like, yeah, I would always be like, well, that one dude saw, you know, his like, I know a guy who when we were kids, watched another kid accidentally kill himself with a gun. Like they had a gun and a stereotypical situation. And that kid had to carry that his whole life. So, I mean, like, I've had some pretty terrible things happen to me or been involved or whatever, but I never really looked at any of that stuff as significant because I'm like, wow, like in the grand scheme of things, you know, what really was that? But that in and of itself discounts what trauma is. Like a traumatic experience is something that like leaves you impacted regardless of if it's like what the situation is or how big or insignificant the situation is. Like a trauma could be someone like yelling at you at a traffic light and they say like something, you're Jewish and they say something anti-Semitic and like it affects you because like your grandmother just died and then that whole day comes like this whirlwind. So like that's traumatic. And like if I don't think people are open to the concept of that damage, and thus if they're not open to like the concept of it, they don't know that you can fix it. So like there's a lot of practices or tendencies that I had that were just like my natural response to being challenged or being threatened. Like if someone threatened me physically or someone close to me physically, like it wasn't ever a question of like what was happening next. It was like we were fighting now. And that was my response to something that happened to me, like probably before I could even remember things happening to me. So like I think that what you're doing also, because also kind of has like a weird thing with it with like energy healer or like that title, it would almost be cool to see either a new title or people become open to the title. One or the other, because like trauma is the same way. It's like nobody's open to the trauma. Everybody wants to be a victim, but nobody wants to be the person who overcame the victimhood, right? Currently in our culture. But like the word energy healer, like I hear that and I'm like, oh God, like does that turn off people?
That's why I don't use it.
Yeah.
I say energy practitioner or energy therapist.
Energy therapist, I like that.
But I'm not a therapist as in like a licensed psychologist. And that's honestly why I walked away from therapist and started using practitioner. Because one, I am a certified practitioner. But also I didn't want people thinking that I was stepping out of my scope of practice. Because although I coach and soundboard and all of that, I'm by no means your therapist.
So I guess energy coach or something. I don't know.
One of my, because I say so many things.
You just go through it. Yeah. Have you ever seen the movie The New Guys with Will Ferrell? Where he's like a cop. With
the other guys.
The other guys.
Yeah. Yes. Mark Wahlberg. Will
Ferrell. Well, Will Ferrell used to be Gator.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. Will Ferrell.
Gator's bitches, baby.
Have you ever seen that movie?
I feel like I have.
I kind of feel like you're Will Ferrell in that movie.
Wait, how
so in the movie, Will Ferrell is a cop, and he's like this nerdy ass like textbook cop, like has a pocket protector, wears glasses. Like at one point, they convince him to do a desk pop, which they're like, "You haven't done a desk pop yet?" And they're like, "Randy, when was your last desk pop?" And they convince him to shoot his gun off into his desk in the office. So they give him a wooden gun. So the backstory on his character in the movie is he used to be a pimp named Gator. So at one point in the movie, he breaks down and starts to go back to like Gator's tendencies. So like when I hear about like your background and like keeping the airfield cleared and like your biology, and now you're like this energy practitioner, and I'm like, I'm just like waiting for you to like relapse and just be like, I gotta go hunting. We gotta need some venison.
No, I can assure you. Not.
Yeah, that movie's the best.
That photo is horrendous.
Yeah. Or you might look good with a grill.
Yeah, you never know.
I'll try it out.
I know someone. I know someone that hook you with a grill.
Yeah, we know someone that makes grills, and Gilmar won a grill.
I want a grill.
Do you wear it?
I haven't gotten it yet.
It doesn't come in. He got his teeth
Shit.
like molded.
Yeah, thinking in next week it should be.
Legit.
Yeah.
As soon as he comes in with it, I'm gonna get jealous and get one.
Dude,
Obviously.
I'm gonna get more.
I'm trying to have.
Why do you
I'm
need
tr-
more than one?
I'm trying to have a
Because-
grill party. Like I'm trying to have. Like she said, we needed 6 people to get grills to have like a discount and a party.
Oh shit.
So we're just gonna have a party at our house, and people are just gonna come over and get their grills fitted.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get a full one. That would have been too expensive. I got two little teeth. I got the canines.
2 little goldfish.
Yeah, 2 little gold.
In case he ever goes into like the wild with like some capuchin monkeys, he can like set the tone.
Yeah, you
Do
never
not
know.
smile at them.
Oh no,
Do
yeah.
not smile at monkeys.
Not
It's a
show
sign of
aggression? Yeah.
Come
What?
on, have you ever watched the National Geographic channel?
No, but it explains a lot. Like when people smile at each other in like the prison yard, it's like kind of like that. You know what I'm saying? Primal.
Teeth out.
Not
Yeah.
to get all like trauma therapist on you, but you know, that could be like a subconscious trigger for them. Did you know that the nervous system pattern you have, there's a very high chance that you've had it since you were like 6 months old?
The nervous system pattern. Yeah, that's what I've been told.
That's what I've been told just now.
But, yeah,
I've never heard of that before. That's interesting.
Yeah.
interesting.
Because you don't exist in a place of like, well, I'm not saying like you, but the average human doesn't exist in a place of, so like when you're looking at the nervous system, think of it as like a ladder. So the top of the ladder is that like rest and recovery, the rest and digest, the ventral stage is what it's called. And that's where we ideally would like to exist the majority of our time. And then when things happen, you want to go into like the shutdown or the
Fight or flight.
fight or flight, but then come back out. I mean, like that's how we stay alive. So you're going down the ladder and you're in the ventral, and a few rungs down is like the fight or flight. And then a few rungs below that is the dorsal, which is like that functional freeze, that shutdown. Majority of us end up spending a large amount of our lives primarily existing in either that fight or flight or that dorsal because, well, oftentimes things in our life affects us, but if it's before that, it's because when you're born, your vagus nerve, do you know what the vagus nerve is?
Your eye. Is that no, that's the pineal gland. What's the vagus nerve?
The vagus nerve is, so coming out of the back of your skull, we're going to have a little lesson here.
Drop it.
So coming out of the back of your skull, out the brainstem, you have 12 cranial nerves. Number 10 is the vagus nerve. It comes down your neck, wraps up around your face, down your throat, and touches virtually every major organ in your body. It's kind of like the big bad boss of the nervous system. So he kind of tells people like what's good. 80% of that feedback is body to brain. Only 20% is brain to body. So that's why things like trying to talk yourself out of like a panic attack is like pretty futile because we're not top to bottom creatures. We're bottom to top. We're body-led creatures. And so anyway, that vagus nerve, it's myelinated, you know, like the covering of the nerve. And when we're born, only a small portion of it has completed myelination. It actually doesn't complete the myelinating process until, I don't remember, it's like, good thing nobody watches this because they'd probably get corrected. But it's like 5 or 6 years or maybe 7. But up until 6 months, the myelination is so little that we don't have the ability to biologically self-regulate. So we depend on co-regulation. So like our nervous systems have been co-regulating this whole time. So with babies, it comes down to like their primary caregiver. So like for me, it was my mom. So I took on my mom's pattern. After 6 months, the myelination process has completed enough where co-regulation or self-regulation becomes a possibility. That's why like our grandparents saying like, let them cry it out. And they were like 6 weeks old.
Yeah. So
detrimental.
I actually read a little bit about this, and the individual whose book, I can't remember this guy's name, but he studied like early childhood development, and then he studied it on such a level that he studied like Eskimos, Native Americans, indigenous, not Native Americans, like indigenous people, like that are like kind of untouched, like different cultures throughout the world, and how they handle like early childhood, in the sense that like, do they let them sit and cry and figure it out themselves, or do they like constantly cater to the child? And and like this guy's life work pretty much concluded that the way like our parents and grandparents were like, no, you need to let them cry it out, that was just like all completely damaging for multiple generations of people.
Super damaging.
Because what happens is like the cultures where the kid stays like in early ages, like before, advanced civilization, you would be like, you wouldn't even touch the ground for the first couple of years of your life. Like you would constantly be like in a backpack or in a thing. Like your whole life was like being supported by like some other human being. So like we can't
I'm like, can you come up?
just say pause up.
Pause up.
So like basically, Gilmar, you just like the development just like has completely been stunted for our culture. Because like those
100%.
early years of development, like the thought process is like, let them figure it out and cry it out. That's how it's done. And like, that's not how it's done. Like all your subconscious development is in that stage. So when you're taught like, oh, you need something, figure it out, you're taught that you're alone.
Don't get me wrong.
Like things
letting
like
like a
that.
2-year-old cry it out is different than like a 2-week-old.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, like when you're a toddler, like we're not talking about like letting your 5-year-old like get a hug after he's been bad. Like
Yeah.
the toddlers and like the it's like very early development is what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
And it was
because
wild to hear that, like the whole like study behind this thing. And I was like, holy shit, all these people makes complete sense why things are the way they are in our culture. I was like, it's all for one and nobody's in it for each other. Like our culture is completely separated.
it teaches you that like nobody's coming for you. Like those babies that cry themselves to sleep, they're not falling asleep because they self-soothe. They literally, their nervous system became so overwhelmed that it just shut down.
Yeah.
That's good insight.
Imagine as an adult what would have to happen to you for your whole nervous system to shut down.
Oh, yeah.
Like somebody comes in here with a gun and you're just not ready for it and you're just like,
Mm-hmm.
you matrix out. Like that's very easy for a child. So like your development, like when you have things like school shooters and stuff like that. Like there was the one in Texas, like the Uvalde one was the last one that I commented on. Somebody started shit with me and I was like, I will choke you out right now. Because I was like, everybody is like up in arms right now. But like when I heard the story of the school shooter, I'm like, well, no shit. Like it wasn't even a surprise to me. Like the guy, like his parents like weren't there for him. He lived with his grandmother who was much older than him, that couldn't ever show, like probably never showed him like any sort of love as a child that he needed. He didn't have any parents for the first couple of years of his life. Like, so you just had someone that just like completely was broken. And like, that made me think, I'm like, wow, like when I read this book that was given to me from like by a therapist to like look into, I was like, damn, that makes complete sense. Like how we take care of the children for these last like 100 years or so has yielded this situation, and everybody's like, we can't fix it. And it's like, no, we got to start taking care of the babies a certain way. And that's kind of, that's not getting any better. At least I don't think so.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
So I think it's up to people like us as adults to like kind of just like wake up one day and realize like, okay, we have choices, like Lori.
Well, and also, like, I thought it was interesting. You were talking about a adult nervous system shutting down. You're like, they'd have to come in with a gun. And I kind of thought in my head, and I was just like, so many of us are so close to the state of overwhelm that it really takes the slightest thing to send the nervous system into like the dorsal or the shutdown or whatever. And like, you'd be surprised. And it's a shame, really, because, I think a lot of it comes down to a lot of us just don't have resources for ourselves. And I don't even mean like a practitioner or a book or whatever. I mean just like knowing this is how I feel when life gets too much. These are the things I do to help myself.
Yeah, having been someone who like was in that situation, when I just took my emotional state and how I handled things as just like, this is just how it is.
Did you think like, this is just who I am?
Yeah, this is just how things are. This is just it.
Did you think everybody else felt that way in their own bodies?
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
That's interesting because not everybody has that awareness.
Yeah, it was just kind of like being, I was like, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to think though about like all that development and like the work and like the people that are still kind of like, you know, figuring it out and walking around. That's kind of why I try and push so many people. Like, I probably annoy the shit out of a few different people in my sphere constantly about jiu-jitsu and wrestling. Like, I'm constantly trying to push people into that environment. And I mean, like, I had the great privilege of like watching a good friend of mine who we convinced to start jiu-jitsu, and he became completely addicted to his first tournament this past weekend. And like that shutdown experience, like, it's important to wrestle and learn and like do these sports, in my opinion, and then go and compete, even if like just one time, because you get that experience of that shutdown. If you've never been in a fist fight or like some sort of fight before, coming out of a competition where like that's what's going on, and then like never having experienced that, like your body and your adrenaline and every like that dump of energy is so overwhelming that I think being able to experience that in a controlled setting like awakens like a whole nother part of your body, because like you now know what that level is that you have, like, okay, that shutdown level, and it gives you the ability to like navigate the area being like, oh, I've been here before.
I think there's definitely a part of that I agree with. The other part, I guess it kind of really just depends how chronically somebody's been in that state. Because in order to get out of the shutdown, you have to move up the ladder through fight or flight back into the ventral. And that can be extremely difficult. I mean, people that are in that state chronically, like the biggest challenge of their day is getting out of bed in the morning and having the energy to brush their teeth. It calls for a lot of symptoms like digestive issues, autoimmune diseases, brain fog, depression, and it can really like chronically, like many years in that state, it can make it very difficult to live your life. So like on one level, I feel like if somebody's like fairly regulated and they experience that, I feel like that is really great, because it's like you have this ability, like you said, in a controlled setting to be able to kind of like manipulate and move through that and be like, whoa, that was wild. That's what that feels like. But when it's unfortunately caused because you had years of developmental trauma caused by various chronic stress and shock traumas throughout your adult life, like the path to getting out of it is slow and steady. And for a lot of people, it's not easy. So I think it kind of just like depends on the person.
Yeah, I feel everyone has different reactions to things. Like I feel that when I'm confronted in a situation where it's like fight or flight, the first thing I try to do is diffuse. But meaning with words. I'm not a person that will get into altercations, but this happened to me recently, I think last summer, where someone I knew got put into this uncomfortable situation because of some guy. And my first thought was to step in and diffuse, just to calm everyone down, because I'm not someone that will, try to fight someone. That's not what I do.
I remember the situation.
Yeah. I mean, I was pissed. I was very upset, but my initial response wasn't to fight someone. It was more to like separate, calm people down, and then kind of figure out what the fuck happened while doing that. So yeah, definitely people deal with things differently. And I think I'm not the type to, like, you probably years ago would punch someone in the face, but
like I would have caught charges.
Yeah.
Like no questions
asked. Yeah, but me, I just can't see myself doing that, because I was never that way. I was always someone that would use words or try to talk to someone and reason with people. So
yeah. Definitely. I appreciate that about you, because like I spent so much of my life in that fight or flight and beneath area that like when I would interact with somebody that was like cool, calm, and collected, I'd be like, That's my goal right there. We're not there today,
Yeah.
but someday I'm going to be able to get in an argument and it's not going to turn physical.
Yeah. I believe in you.
Yeah, we're doing pretty good.
Yeah, you're
we're
getting
on
there.
We're on a streak. Thanks, jiu-jitsu.
Hell yeah. Shout out to Jiu-Jitsu.
Thanks, wrestling.
That's good, man.
There's a lot to be said about those types of sports, though. My fake boyfriend Charlie at the other school, he
I don't believe he
I
exists.
believe him.
he also was a wrestler, and I've like just like the stories I've heard, and just like the way that it can help people and shift their mentality and whatnot. I think there's a lot of power behind it.
There's it's referred to a lot of different things. It's called like another gear is usually like that guy has another gear. And you hear that about wrestlers. It's being able to, like the other day when I was training on like Monday lunchtime, I was there and the only other people that were training are people getting ready for fights. So things were getting a little wild. And at one point, I'm on bottom getting like into a very disadvantaged position. And I looked up and my fist was in the air. And I was about to punch him in the kidneys, which was not part of the sport we were playing. And the guy who was watching us train, like monitoring it, started laughing because he was like, I saw that. You guys. So it's kind of like that extra, like when you're struggling at that level, you're very aware of like your being, but you're not aware of any other bullshit. So afterwards, for a brief period of time, hopefully very long, like I believe that like if you go multiple times a week, it builds up like a muscle memory. What it does for like at least someone like me is it gives you like a reprieve. It's like, wow, that was way harder than what is currently going on. Like it's like cold plunge for your brain. You're like, I almost died. Like I could have killed me. It's in a gym setting, so it's not going to happen. But he could. Your brain's like, he could have killed me. Life's okay.
Ultimate embodiment exercise.
Yeah, life's okay. I got choked today. It's like, yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's like, but like it makes sense when you talk about it though, with like your body first and then mind. Like when you said that, I was like, like it's like, they like kind of put something together. Oh, that makes more sense now.
Yeah, that's why those things work.
Yeah. Trust it.
Yeah.
I think that comes down to a lot of this kind of work. Like you're asking me a lot of the sciences of things before, and like, trust me, I love the sciencey part of it, but I think a big part of it just also comes down to the trust and like the belief and like the will. People come in, they're like, I've never done this before, but like, I'm desperate. I've tried everything. And like, I don't know if I believe in it. I'm like, well, can you be open to it? Can you have a curiosity towards it? Because if you can, that's all I'll really ask of you. And then just take it from there. And I think that can kind of translate into a lot of things in our life.
That's awesome. I feel like we're going to keep going for hours if I don't shut this down.
Has it been time? How long have we been doing this?
We've probably been here, let me guess, probably an hour and 45 minutes.
Hour 50.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, about hour 45. Yeah, because the 6 minutes we were just.
Bro, don't treat me like that.
What? What do you mean? You were right. I forgot about the 6 minutes of the show we fucked around about Batman.
Yeah, I'm gonna clip that up separately and just send it to him. Be like, dude, it's gonna get more and more hot until you get on the show.
Not for nothing, off the record, if you need a Catwoman, I'm in.
All right, cool.
Yeah, now that you've offered, we might turn it up in a whole nother level.
Man.
When he shows up,
Just
we'll do it. By the time he actually gets his act together, it'll probably be daylight savings times again, and it'll be dark out when we do the podcast.
Yeah.
When he pulls up, we'll light the side of the building up with a bat signal. And I'll be like, dude, it's a trap.
Yeah, it's a trap.
No Inspector Gordon here, buddy.
Yeah, can't get out of here.
Just two Jokers and a Catwoman.
I'm so excited.
Just get Rambo in the bat costume.
Hell yeah, I'm down. Let's do it.
I'm so glad you came on.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was funny because I was like, I like to talk, but how is this going to go? It was super easy.
Yeah.
We try and make it easy for everyone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people are very nervous coming on the show, and we don't do a very good job making them not nervous because they'll be like, well, what are you going to talk about? And I'll be like, we're going to wing it. And they're like, no. I'm like, oh, we're going to talk about you.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
And then wing it.
Yeah, that is terrifying.
Yeah. We're going to make jokes you're not comfortable with.
Gonna make it all weird for an hour.
Yeah. We're going to start in the first 5 minutes and make a cancer joke. It's like, oh boy,
Oh shit.
get me out of here.
Yeah, we went there.
Where can people find you? Other than in the description, we'll obviously put the links. But what's like the
Sure.
best place to find you?
So my website is www.fullcircleenergy.net. There you can kind of find everything. If you want to follow me on IG, I definitely say I'm more active on there than Facebook. It's just Full Circle Energy, one word, no spaces. I'd say between those two places, they have my phone, they have my email, they have the computer screen going black. So
I thought you were going to keep going. The computer, the computer just crashed.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the iPad died.
I think that's
still
our cue.
recording.
It's fine. It's still showing up.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
we're
those
here.
are the best ways to show me to find me, and or the bat signal.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned, y'all.
So we got Lori,
Cut that out. Don't
Full-
leave that in there.
Full Circle Energy. Gilmar Rambo's here. And we appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening. There's a bird trying to come in through the window right there.
Fuck the bird.
Oh my God, get your gun.
It's gonna die.
No.
There we go.
To the clips. I haven't been able to make the clips for that episode yet, but we said some wild shit
Did
about,
we?
about Bucks County Batman.
Yo, we're gonna fucking get him, dude.
There is a Bucks County Batman.
There is, and
Pull
he
up
keeps
his pull. Yeah.
he keeps flaking, dude.
We'll make this a side clip.
Have
There's a Bucks County
you
Batman.
invited him?
He's avoiding us. Yeah.
He's avoiding us,
He
man.
keeps saying he's gonna come on, and then he just like last minute can't come on.
you know how you get him on, right?
We just troll him. We just keep talking shit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one option. I was thinking though, you could invite his arch nemesis.
We
then
are
he's
his
going
arch.
We are his
Yeah.
arch nemesis.
We have in fact we thought about this. We thought this through. We created a villain. Yeah.
I mean,
We've got costumes and everything locked and loaded.
This is the Bucks County Batman. That's all
Oh,
the same person.
Yeah, it's the same
Yeah.
dude, and he commits.
Oh my god, that's top
commits.
right.
These are committed. Like he's got
That one.
This one.
yeah, this one. Yeah, this one's pretty funny.
Let me get the
Yeah, let's get the audio.
the audio.
Literally. Yeah, so from our research, he is into fitness, he's in like the fitness space. And somehow.
I feel like
And
somebody
having-
has to know who he is in real life.
Well, he recently like filmed a whole bunch of content at the NAC, and I know a bunch of people over there, so
Okay.
I've been commenting on all those videos. I comment on his videos.
I'm coming for you.
Oh yeah, we've got costumes ready to go. It's
No.
gonna be a trap.
Wait, so what are you gonna do?
Oh yeah, we're not gonna reveal what we're gonna do.
It's
I mean,
gonna
I
be a
guess
trap.
yeah, of
Like,
course that would
we're
be.
ready. Like the more he abstains from coming on the podcast, the bigger the situation's gonna get, because we keep buying things. We keep buying props.
Well, if you need anything, if there's anything I can do for the cause, please let me know.
Well, I
because
mean-
I feel
I mean-
like I'm invested now.
Yeah, we're casting for the part of Catwoman. So
I mean,
Yeah.
anyway,
Or
All right.
Harlequin, whatever.
we could do a Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
I don't know. We
I
just
think
get,
I would enjoy.
we just
Catwoman
fill the
more.
room like a Wu-Tang concert. We just fill it with all of our friends and just have them show up with nobody.
A Wu-Tang concert. No way.
Oh, it's true though. I went to a Wu-Tang concert once, and it was like on the smaller side, and I feel like they just all knew each other.
I've been to 2 Wu-Tang events, and there was more people legit on stage than there was in the crowd.
what it was
And
like
by the
when I
end of
was-
the thing, I shit you not, there was no distinguishable difference between the crowd and what was going on stage, except for they were taller than you.
What the fuck?
They literally do. Like they start with like a couple of them, and next thing you know, their boys are out there spinning T-shirts, and next thing you know, their boys are out there, and the security is out there.
Yeah,
and there's
smoking.
80 people on stage with blunts.
I mean, Wu-Tang.
It was hilarious. It was epic though.
Oh yeah, shout out.
Anyway,